Hello, I'm James McLean with First Community Bank, and we are the Banker Bros. I'm James McLean. I'm a lender and business development officer with First Community Bank, and this is my esteemed colleague and boss, I might add.
Heavy on the esteemed, right?
Rob Roberts.
Misguided.
He is a senior vice president of commercial lending and special projects at First Community Bank. And what this program, what we want it to be about, is to talk about the communities where we have a presence. We want to talk about the great things that are going on in that community and really kind of take a deep dive into what they're doing and spotlight some things. Secondly, we want to talk to some interesting people in those communities, people that are doing special things, people that have a point of view, people that have a unique perspective that we think you would enjoy. And thirdly, we want to talk about our bank, some things that we're doing, new things that we're doing, the great service that we provide on a daily basis and have been doing for years. And we also want to occasionally bring in some employees, some folks that you'll know, friends and family, and talk to them, because the greatest resource at First Community Bank, through all the success that we've had through the years, it's the employees, Rob.
Absolutely.
It's our employees.
Never cease to amaze me.
No, I've done a lot of stuff, and been, I think I have a wide variety of experiences, but I have never worked at a place that has more of a family feel to it and vibe than First Community Bank. Never.
Well, when people say they're a family, but when you're standing behind that teller counter and you're able to see that person every week or every other week, and you develop a relationship with that person as a trusted friend or as a lender, and I mean this is important to me. Being able to help someone, I'm really proud of multi-million-dollar loans that I've made, but there's nothing that's more important than helping that person get in their first house.
Well, there's a real esprit de corps, I think, that you just don't see in other places. Sure. And it's really, to me, has been special. Been very, very special.
Special people, special communities that we serve.
And the thing about it is, our bank, if you're diving into the numbers in the Arkansas banking world, we're a top 10 bank.
Sure.
How many top 10 banks can you walk in that front door, walk up those stairs, and go sit down and have a cup of coffee or visit with the chairman of the board? How many can you?
Well, we've always practiced having open doors, having those relationships, being engaged with our customers, because that's who we are. We're not the big standoffish bank, and the challenge that Mr. Cole and our directors give us all the time is we don't want to change a thing. We don't want to get to that point where we're that big bank that hides behind the policies and the procedures. Let's try to do the right thing. Granted, we have laws, we have things that we have to follow, but we want to always try to do what's best for our customers. And when you do the right thing, when you're helping people, it feels good, and it just builds on itself.
It builds on itself, and I think that gets lost in business.
Sure.
The goal becomes the money.
Yeah.
The goal has to be create that relationship with that customer.
That's where it starts.
Create that environment, create that atmosphere, and success is going to follow every time. And there's not a greater example of that than First Community Bank.
We're fortunate. Great employees,
we're very, very fortunate.
but the customers that we have, that's why we're here.
Well, Rob, we've done extraordinary things in the last 3 weeks, and I'm gonna toot the bank's horn, because it's been just really it's been amazing to see such teamwork, such dedication, just in all aspects, all hands on deck has really been, I think, what has happened. But let's just talk a little bit about some programs that are out there. Specifically, as we know, the federal government has recently approved a huge trillion stimulus program, $2 trillion. And since you're a math guy, you can count that high. But within that program is the SBA, Small Business Administration, has some programs designed to provide, if I can say that, economic relief for just folks out there in the world who have businesses, employers. And one of those is the Payroll Protection Program. And this is something that I know that you have worked on tirelessly, I don't know how many hours. And Chris Milam, who's a good friend of ours over at First Community Bank, Chris Milam is just, I can't say enough good things about Milo. And Captain America, he is, he's a little brother, but way smarter. But he, no argument, yeah, no. Milo's in a league of his own. But you and Chris have done, I just think in the annals of First Community Bank, I think that this period, you two have made your mark, have done something to help people in a dramatic and tangible way. So with that being said, as I'm patting you all over the back, you and Milam, tell us a little bit about the Payroll Protection Program, and give us some details, and just kind of tell us where it started, how you got it going, and where we are now.
Well, the Paycheck Protection Program, as you said, it was part of the big $2 trillion stimulus package that was pushed through Congress here. Gosh, what's it been? 3 weeks ago, roughly?
3 weeks ago.
Because our government understood, rightfully so, that people were going to have a paycheck. People had to have a paycheck. There were going to be people that were going to be thrown out of work. There were going to be people who maybe they had their own businesses. Those businesses weren't open, so they had to act fast. Now that is not necessarily what our government is known for, but the premise of the program was let's get money in people's hands, and we want the banks to administer it. So within the $2 trillion CARES package is this Paycheck Protection Program, which constitutes about $349 billion. All right. So in essence, what this is for businesses, again, to make sure those paychecks go out. So the calculation, and I won't go into too much detail, but basically, long story short, you calculate what is average monthly payroll, all right, based on 2019 numbers, and you're going to multiply that figure times 2.5. So it's the equivalent of 2.5 months worth of payroll.
So just so people are clear about this, because this is a terribly important point about this program, which is accessible to anyone who is an employer, a self-employed, independent contractor. Sure. Terribly important point. If James McLean has the James McLean hot dog shop,
sure,
and I have 6 employees,
yes,
I'm going to take my average monthly payroll for a month, what I pay these people for a month.
Yes.
I'm going to multiply that by 2.5, and that is what the government will loan me so I can keep on paying my people.
Yeah, close. The bank's actually going to loan you. It will be the bank's money, but we have a SBA guarantee on those funds. Okay. So, but the beauty of the program, and why people are really interested in the Payroll Protection Program, is because if you spend that money the way that Uncle Sam wants you to spend it, that loan may be forgiven.
Okay, now this is another important point. Forgiveness means you ain't got to pay it back to the bank.
That's right. It's a loan that has the potential to become a grant. Now, unfortunately, as a lender, I've made some loans that ended up being a grant, but that was not the original purpose. Yes.
Sometimes that happens, and that's not a good thing.
Sometimes it happens. But with 2.5 times that payroll going into that business account, that company is going to have to continue to show over an 8-week period that they paid their employees. 75% of that loan has to go towards payroll costs, but it can also go to pay the rent, pay the utilities, other things like that. So if you properly document, you use the money as you should, which it's not altogether clear. As I mentioned earlier, this guidance, even though the program started on April the 3rd, we're literally getting updates on this every day. So the government has not yet told the banks exactly how that's going to work.
Let me ask you this, expert banker, artist.
Well, you just keep on getting worse.
Yeah, I know. You are an artist. You are. If a banker could be an artist, it's you, my friend.
Oh Lord.
You have taken it to an art form. But let me ask you this: I need to pay my employees. I'm going to pay my employees. Okay, 50% of this loan amount.
Better be 75.
Okay. Okay, so that's the main point.
Yeah.
You have to use at least 75% of this loan amount to pay your employees. Now, that other 25%, I can use it to keep the lights on. I can use it to pay my rent.
Yes.
Now tell me, now
You can also use it to pay the interest on business loans.
Now, the government is going to forgive the 75%. I'm not going to have to pay that back. Tell me what happens to the other 25% that I got to use to keep my lights on, that I got to pay rent with. What's going to happen with that?
No, actually, James, the potential, and I want to underline that 3 times, the potential is 100% is forgiven if you use it for the purposes that we talked about. But as with all things with the government, you're going to have to document. So I would encourage people to call their loan officer at the bank. We'll talk to you about this. We know, listen, every business is unique. Everyone has unique circumstances, unique needs, and I am so proud. I'm so proud of that team that we put together to handle this Paycheck Protection Program. We stood up a group of about 20 people within a week, formed a little department. We had to understand what Uncle Sam wanted of us, which that's been a moving target. We had to put the systems in place from application to loan funding, and that sounds easy, but I can assure you it's not, to make this thing happen.
And we had to do all this against the backdrop of a world pandemic, where customers could not come into the bank, and how our modus operandi was altered greatly. So not only were we dealing with those issues, now we have this gigantic loan program that's been rolled out with very little guidance, and oh, hey banker, go figure it out, with the avalanche of people who need this help, wanting to know how to get it and contacting us.
But you hit on something right there. In my career, and I've been fortunate to be a part of a lot of different businesses and hopefully, knock on wood, help a lot of people. But this has been something special. With all the frustration, with all the long hours, James, I can sit here tonight and I can tell you that as of 5 o'clock this afternoon, since April the 3rd, First Community Bank has booked almost $60 million of these loans. Almost $60 million. Scattered across, 450 different businesses. And within those businesses, you had a little over, I think the exact number, 7,228 people. 7,228 employees of those businesses are going to get a paycheck because of the Paycheck Protection Program that has been rolled out. And that's rewarding. I can remember when I was in college, I had this old finance professor he said, community banking is dead. I was just crushed because that's what I wanted to do. He said they can't compete in terms of pricing, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? That old man didn't understand. He didn't understand the heart of a community banker. The heart to have that relationship with those people that says, listen, you got enough to worry about. You got the health of your kids. You've got the health of the community. You've got your business to worry about. You let me try to handle, I'm your banker, you let me try to handle the finance end of things. And together, locked arm in arm, even in a time of social distancing, we're going to get there together.
And that is the best example of old school, taking care of people, banking. And that's what we do better than anybody else. Now, you know, people are calling every day. I get every call just about that I'm getting here recently, they're inquiring about the payroll protection program. And this is what I'm telling them. Of course, I provide them with the information that they need, get them what they need to enroll, but I also tell them this: you need to talk to your accountant.
That's a great point, James. You know, there's still a lot of uncertainty about this. It's so important. Yeah, you need a good banker. You also, I hope you have a good tax professional too, because we're working as a team in tandem, and they need to understand what's going on. You need to understand what they have to say, because the one thing that we don't want to have happen is everyone's going into this with the expectation that the loan's going to be forgiven. And that's what we want to have happen. So let's work together. Let's all work off of the same page to make sure that at the end of the day, if anything is left, that it's not very much. Incidentally, if there is anything left, then what Uncle Sam tells us to do is we have to take that remaining balance of what is not forgiven, or God forbid the whole thing may not be forgiven. That's not what we're shooting for. And then that has to be amortized or paid in full over a period of 18 months. So it not only has an interest rate of 1%, so it's very cheap money. That's good. But we want to try to help you see that it's forgiven. It's not altogether clear exactly how that's going to work, but that's our focus at this point.
But repeat that interest rate one more time for folks, because you know, they might not have understood that. 1%.
1%. Yeah, it's a heck of a good rate. And also with
my dad would not give me that type of interest rate.
Well, you're bad credit risk.
You know, well, I am. But 1%, that's pretty incredible for the remainder of the loan that may not be forgiven.
Yeah, sure. And another beauty with the Paycheck Protection Program, the first 6 months, the payments are deferred. So you have no interest that you have to pay. You have no principal that you have to pay. So somewhere in the neighborhood of, at the end of June, hopefully this thing will be forgiven. We want to be a part of that for our businesses.
So I think that the thesis of what you're saying is call us, talk to us. We will get you what you need to to apply for this program, and talk to your accountant. If you're an accountant applying for this program, talk to your accountant, because we don't want to do anything that might jeopardize the guarantee or jeopardize any forgiveness that may be coming to our customers.
That's right. And you know, the reason why, because our motto has always been, we don't want just your checking account, or we don't want just this one loan transaction. We want to be your bank. We're not about a transaction, we're about a relationship. So if we work together, we all go into this with understanding, and we all know that tomorrow is going to be brighter. The way that things are today won't always be this way. I can't wait to sit right here and watch Danny Dozier sitting on that stage, strumming that guitar. That means a lot to me. That means a lot to this community, and it will happen. So we'll get there together.
And in that regard, you know, some of the things that we're doing, and I think that we all need to be doing in the interim while we're working our way through this, and you know, this is a process. Absolutely. This is a process, and at First Community Bank, we are supporting our local businesses. We're supporting our local restaurants heavy duty. I would encourage everyone to do that, because we don't need folks to not be able to come out on the other end of this deal. I also would like to just mention some of the we've had some really great leadership during this time. People stepping up, and I'm going to mention them by name. Mayor Rick Ellenbaugh has done a heck of a job, and you know, he does what he always does. He just snaps into action and starts working. And he has been just phenomenal. Independence County Judge Robert Griffin, worker. Has made some tough decisions, but he is, fully committed and engaged in making sure that this community has everything that it has to make it through this.
You know, let's be sure. This is probably the next one out of your mouth. Let's talk about our healthcare workers.
Unbelievable.
And our emergency personnel.
Unbelievable.
That as they say, they run towards danger. You know, these people are putting their lives on the line, and just for you and I. So it was so good to see. What was that It was last week, wasn't it? Good Friday, when they had the light display
in New York. Yes, incredible. And we know these people. We know them. We're friends. You know them. I know them. Ron knows them. These aren't just abstract folks. These are our friends who are working at the hospital, who are working on those ambulances, who are responding to those calls in those big old fire trucks. We know these people. We love them, and we appreciate them. And our respect is just, we can't say enough about them. But you know, what we're doing today is not only trying to recognize folks who are doing a heck of a job in extraordinarily tough circumstances. We want you to know that First Community Bank, we're in the thick of this fight. And
yesterday, today, and tomorrow.
And we ain't going nowhere. And just because when you come and jiggle on that door and it's not opening, that doesn't mean that bank is closed. That doesn't mean your banker's not in there. That doesn't mean the people that you know and you trust don't have your back. So it's important for us to get this message out to you, that we are here for you. We have programs available for you. Rob has mentioned several of them. So don't think that we're not there, because we are. Don't think we're not going to come out on this thing stronger than we already are. We will, and so will you. But Rob, we hope to do this again.
We will.
We hope to do that,
maybe without the train. Choo choo.
Without the train, and we hope to. We you know, this was an extraordinary kind of little deal, because we're going through a really just. I've never seen anything like this in my lifetime. I mean,
we'll remember it. But you know, I'm a history nerd, and you have to look back on what generations have done before. You look at the greatest generation that went through the Great Depression, went through World War II. This is our time to shine, and those scars will make us better in the long run.
This is a shared sacrifice, and I think this community has responded. Sure. I mean, big time. This state has responded, big time, and you know, we're gonna
cut right there.